Hey, what's up, you guys? Good morning. As you can tell, we are in a different part of the house today. I wanted to do the Love After Lockup in my room because I literally just sat here and watched it, took a bunch of damn notes, and then came to you guys. And it is a lot, y'all. The editing for the show this Sunday this Friday that just passed was crazy. It was all over the place. I felt like I was being slung around, and we got a lot. So if you are new here, welcome to my channel. I am Key. Hopefully you like what you see and you'll subscribe and you'll hang around with the K Squad and you'll chill with us on Sundays and whatever the case may be. I upload on the daily. I am thinking about starting I have a Patreon, but I'm thinking about starting to promote it because I want the channel to grow. And if you're interested in becoming a Patreon, please like the link down below and go sign up and help your girl out to grow this channel. Let's get into this Love After Lockup because it's a lot, you guys. So I need to put my glasses on. Like, it's real life. I took a lot of notes. I had to. I had to. So, this is season 1, episode 4, Broken Promises. And we start the show with James and Allah. Now, Allah is in the shower. James is running around the house like a banshee, trying to get himself ready for work. And he is screaming at Allah, like not yelling at her, but like screaming from like upstairs to the downstairs, like, hey, don't forget you have a meeting today. Don't forget that you have an appointment. I set that for you. And Allah's like, yeah, but we should have probably really talked about it. So in the confessional, James lets us know that in order for Allah to move to Chicago with him, she has to meet some requirements. And the requirements are basically, she has to meet 2 out of the 3 requirements. She either A, needs to get a full-time job, she needs to have a place to stay, or she needs to have a relative living with, like she has to be living with a relative. So she's going to stay with him. So the first part of that is already out the way. So now she just needs to find a job because she doesn't have any family other than him living in Chicago. So we find out that James has took it upon himself to set up an appointment for her at 2:00 at this modeling agency and did not have a discussion with her. And Allah does not want to be a model anymore. She doesn't want to do it. The reason being is because she started heroin while she was modeling. That is how she got into it. That is how she got in trouble. That is how she ended up in jail. So me personally, I can understand not wanting to go back into something that created a negative experience for me. I wouldn't want to do it. I would feel like that's the life that, got me in trouble in the first place. And she says that I want to be as normal as possible. And I can't do that modeling. I cannot, I can't do it. And James is just like putting a lot of pressure on her. Like, you need to care about this relationship the way I care about this relationship. Nobody else is doing anything else for you. And we see a part of James that I don't like. Like, the military in him starts to come out, and we know that he's Marine Corps, but he is being really, really pushy. And he's being really, really manipulative because he knows that Allah loves him, and she says it. Like, she comes out the shower after he makes the statement of, I'm doing everything that I effing can to make this relationship work. What are you doing? And she gets out the shower and she says to him, listen, I don't really want to do this, and I really wish that you could understand. Like, I want to know that you understand where I'm coming from. Where did the glitter come from? I want to know that you understand. Oh, headband. Where I'm coming from, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to make an effort. Like, I'll make an effort to, go to this thing. But I want you to know I really don't want to do this. But whatever, I'll do it for you. And that's where we leave them. We leave them with James basically bullying her into something that she clearly feels uncomfortable doing. Fine. So then we go over to Garrett and Jonah. So, Joe. And Garrett has decided that him and his boys after work are going to go to the strip club. And he does that. He gets extremely drunk. And he stays out all night long. So much so that he went to sleep in his car. He ends up going to work he parked on the beach close to his restaurant, went to sleep so that he could be on time. And his reasoning for not going home at all was, well, if I'd have went home, I'd have been late for work. And Jonah she's already mad at me because I didn't, I stayed out late. So can you imagine how upset she would be if I was late for work? That is his logic in not going home at all. At all. And so we see Jonah back at the house while he's out partying and getting drunk. She's sitting in a chair with a little blankie, and she just looks so, so miserable. And she's just like, he promised me he would never come in after 2:00 again. And I just feel like he says things to me just to get me to calm down. But then he turns around and does whatever he wants, and I'm just tired of it. And she goes to sleep. So when we catch back up with Garrett, he's at work. He's got a job. He's a server on a restaurant at the beach. And he walks in, and one of his bartender friends, did not catch her name. Sorry. One of his bartenders is there. She's an older lady, and she's like, you look rough. Like, she hugs him and like, you look rough. And he's like, yeah, I had a rough night. I stayed out all night. I didn't go home. And she says something to him like, well, how would you feel if she did that? He's like, I want to tell you that I would be okay, but I honestly don't know how I would react because she's never done it before. And it's easier to say, it's easy to say that you would be okay until it actually happens to you. And she's like, exactly. But then in his confessional, he says, when he was in jail, he did promise Jonah a lot of things. Like, he promised Joe a lot. He told her that she would never be alone and he would be home with her. And he just, didn't have freedom in jail. So now that he's home and he realizes the freedom that he has, he's just trying to be free. He's just I think he's trying to catch up for the years that he missed. And the bartender that he was talking to, his coworker, she says, listen, it's completely understandable that you want to do that. But if that's what you want to do, you can't be in a committed relationship and do things like that. And she's absolutely right. You have to choose. You have to choose a team. You cannot have it both ways. You're going to either go be free and try to make up for some things, or you're going to be in this relationship because Jonah is really pushing for this whole marriage thing. And that's where we leave them. Listen, when I tell you guys that it swung us around, it swung us around. It right after that, after he says all of that, it throws us into a new couple, Angela and Tony. Tony is 32. Angela is 45. Tony has gone to jail for 3 years for possession of a firearm, and she is a mental health therapist. Message. She is a mental health therapist. Now, we meet Angela. She's walking into a bar to meet her friend. And in her confessional, as we, her introduction, she says, her name and blah, blah, blah. And she met Tony on a pen pal website. And they created a relationship there. Her motto in life seems to be that she has a whole lot of love and she just chooses to give her love to men that's in prison. And I think that's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. You're voluntarily setting yourself up. Okay, cool, fine, whatever. So while she's at the bar with her friend is asking her questions like, Tony's coming home in a day. And he proposed to her within the 3 months of them knowing each other. He sent her a Valentine's Day card proposing to her in a Valentine's Day card. So they were supposed to be getting married a year from that date. So I'm not 100% sure when they were filming. So if it was 2017, then they should be getting married Valentine's Day of this year. The problem is her friend is asking all the questions I don't think she's asking herself. Like, are you being played? He's probably just he's just saying it. Like, do you think that he's just saying whatever to get you to send him money? Like, are you a sugar mama? And she's like, yeah, pretty much. I send him $200 a month for his books. He needs clothes. He needs socks. He needs food. He needs things. And I take care of them for him. And I don't have a problem with it. She says that when he first proposed to her, she was a little skeptical because she felt like he was using her. But as time went on, she felt like, he wasn't and life was real and, whatever. So the friend voices his concerns, and it's usually the same thing from everybody that has concerns about their family or loved ones dating someone in prison. Are you being played? Are they hustling you? Are you safe? This person is a felon and you just don't know what you're going to get when they get out of jail. So you're really playing Russian roulette. And so the next day when we catch up with her, well, actually, no, that's where we leave them. We leave them with that confessional. So I'm going to just try to keep it in order the way the show gave it to us. So we swing back over to Alla and James. It is now 2:00. James is at this modeling agency and Alla's nowhere to be found. He walks up to the receptionist desk and he's like, hey, I'm looking for my girlfriend. He says her name and the lady's like, oh, she hasn't checked in yet. And he is in a confessional and you just see this light bulb of fury kind of come through because you can tell that he's a little irritated. He's like, I'm a Marine. I am big on time. And if you say that you're going to be somewhere, you should be somewhere. And I'm just a little peed off that she hasn't shown up. So he's sitting there talking to the receptionist and he's trying to just figure something out. And the lady that was supposed to be talking to Alla, she shows up to the front desk. She gets called to the front desk and James is just trying to salvage what he can of what this meeting was supposed to be. And he's like, my girlfriend's this and my girlfriend's that. And the lady's like, listen, I feel like this is getting a little personal. Come into my office. They go into the office and James just like lets her know, oh, I mean, and he really messes it up in a way for me, which he really shouldn't have been doing it at all. I don't understand why, if Ala didn't show up, he felt the need to try to like interview for her. So he's just like, my girl just got out of jail. She's a felon and we're just trying to find her work. She used to model from 15 up until, she went to prison. And we're just trying to find her work. And I know that it's going to be hard for her to find work because she's a felon. Like, this is what he's telling her. And the lady brings a good point. Do you want her to model because you think that this is easy and that, we're going to just take her? Or do you want her to model because she's a model? He's like, quite frankly, I'm not trying to get her to do anything. We just need to find her a job. And I'm just sitting here like, you're not helping this case. And the lady says, listen, we're not going to just put her in our database because then if she shows up late, if she's not coming on time, if there's issues, she makes us look bad and then people don't want to work with us anymore. And James is just like, no, I completely get that. So he gets up from the seat. He walks out into the lobby. He calls Ala, and Ala is on the highway, and she sounds sick. She's like, I don't feel good. He's like, listen, you need to pull over. You need to just pull over and ping me. Tell me where you are, and I'm going to come pick you up. And then you see that sweet person come back out of him because he's like, listen, at this point, I don't care what's going on. I don't care what's happening. Something's wrong, and I'm going to go pick her up. And that's where we leave James and Ala, with him going to pick her up. And we don't know what happens after that because then they throw us into Dominic and Mary, who's from Canada. Mary has liked several of my pictures on Instagram, so I be like real pumped. Hey, Mary girl. So Mary and her family are on their way to go pick Dominic up from jail. He is finally coming home. And while they're in the car, we learned that they take a lot of trips with her up to the prison, and they're just all excited that this is the last time that they have to go up here and deal with this. While we're in the car, we pull up to the prison, and the guards are being dicks. They're like, do not get out of your car. We will bring him to you. You stay in your car. And she says to us, she hates going to the prison and she hates the guards because they're really, really nasty and they're really mean. And they just treat the people that aren't locked up like they are. And so now her and her family are sitting inside of the car waiting for Dom. And it just seems like it's taking a really, really long time. And she starts to worry. And then that's where we leave them, right there. We go right into, like, the editing was crazy. It's like, I feel like the scenes could have been a little bit longer. Like, we could have, like, not drew it out. Like, I know they got to fill time, but damn, like, you're trying to care. You're trying to, like, find some emotional connection to the situation, and the editing is just really making it hard to do that. So, come on, WeTV. We need to do better than that, because it doesn't make me want to turn it off, but it just makes me not really be interested, because the minute that I feel like something interesting is about to be said, you guys swing over to the next story, and that's exactly what they do. So we're back at home with Garrett and Joe, and Joe has gone to work and came home. Garrett has gone to work and finally made it home. He's just laying on the couch. She walks in, and it's like, I feel like if you were in that room, you would wish that you were somewhere else. You get that vibe from that. She walks in and she is hot. She's like, where the F have you been? I went to sleep last night. You weren't home. I woke up. You weren't home. I went to work. You weren't home. You chose to go hang out with your friends and you went chasing pussy after work. And that's like, she just does not understand that. So apparently when Garrett got out of jail, he was supposed to not drink at all. He could not have alcohol. And I don't know why he keeps agreeing to do these things with her. I really want him to stop it. Like, if they're still together, please stop agreeing to do things that is just not realistic. He promises her that the minute that he's able to drink, the two of them are going to get drunk together. And the first time that he got drunk, he didn't come home because he went to a strip club with his boys. And she's like, your friends are not important. I'm important. They're bad influences. And if you don't want to listen to me and, I'm going to leave. She threatens him with this every time they argue so far. Every time I've seen them argue, that is the threat. I will leave you. I will leave you. I will leave you. And Garrett just starts laughing. She's like, I don't find anything funny. He's like, listen, that's how I deal with things. That's how I deal with stress. That's how I deal. I just joke. I just crack jokes. Like, I don't know how else to handle it. And she's like, and that's why you ended up in jail for 6 years. The punch below the belt. And he says, F you. And then it just gets really, really quiet. And she's just like, I don't think he's ready to get married. I'm worried. He told me I would never have to be by myself. And she's just holding on. She's just holding on to unrealistic expectations. I don't think that he should have stayed out all night long. That is not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is she's pushing for something that, realistically speaking, you kind of start to realize was pillow talk. You know what I mean? Like, he's with you. He's home. He's trying. Yes, he's effing up right now. But realistically speaking, did you think he was going to get out of jail, find a 6-figure job, get you this ring, and have this wedding? And that is what she's pushing for. She's pushing for this wedding. And I just don't think he's ready. I think that he needs to go live his life. I don't think he's ready for the relationship, to be honest. He went in really young, and he needs to go live. And I know that she held him down for a while, so there's an obligation. But maybe if he's going to stay with her, there needs to just be a discussion in some way to find a common ground where at some point they'll get married, but she has to let him live and she has to let him be free, because you can't keep like being a warden. Like, she tries to lock him up and you can see that she's really controlling. And I just feel really bad for both of them, honestly, because they're young and he's trying to do what's right, but he's going to mess up because he hasn't had the opportunity to. And she's lived her life and now she's ready to settle down. And I think that she's trying to push him into that place, and it's just going to end bad. I don't know. She just shouldn't have made that snark comment about, his joking is the reason why he ended up in jail for so long, because clearly that's a touchy subject for him. I wouldn't have done that. Anyway, so then it swings us after that comment and them sitting there in silence for what seems like forever. We go over to Angela and Tony. Now, it is the day that Tony is supposed to be coming home, and she shows up at the bus station. And she gets there and he's not there. Several buses have pulled into the station, and now she's slowly starting to get worried because she doesn't see him. And all the things that her friend has said to her is starting to kind of resonate for her, because now she's getting worried because she feels like she's being played. Angela makes a decision to walk up to a couple of people who had just got off of a couple of buses, and she say, "Are you from prison?" And they're like, "Yeah." They're like, "Yeah, we're coming from jail." She asks them what prison. Of course, they beep it out. We can't hear what prison the guys, because they were at a part of the show. And so she tells us, she tells them that she's waiting for her guy friend, and he was supposed to be coming home from prison also. And she hasn't talked to him in 3 weeks because he was in a hole. And so she's just not sure what's going on. And the guys that she's talking to are like asking her common sense questions. Like, have you called him? Have you talked? You saying you haven't talked to him. So do you know if they like decided to extend his sentence? Like, you probably should find that stuff out. So she calls the jail. She gives her name. She lets them know that she's looking for Tony, and, they beep out his last name. And she's like asking questions like, he was supposed to get out of jail today and he's not here. And we do not hear what they say, nor does she tell us what they say. All we hear her say is, who am I supposed to get in contact with? So it just seems to be assumed that they could not release any information because it just either wasn't, they didn't know, or it just wasn't their place to do so. We don't know if she makes another